Welcome, everybody, to the Jill Stott podcasts. We are so fortunate today to have Michael Bourque with us. If you don't know him, he's a minor or maybe a major celebrity on LinkedIn. Inventor, artist, musician, enthusiast, generally nice guy. Welcome, Michael.
Hi, it's very nice to meet you and finally be part of your show, Jill. I've been
I'm
following you
excited.
for a while, and it's a delight to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. I love how you call it a show because that's kind of what I wanted. One of my childhood dreams was to be a late night show host. Someday. All right, Michael. So on your LinkedIn, he and I have never met, but I think I like you already just because your comments are very positive and on your posts and funny. So on your byline, it says inventor. What do you invent?
I invent something every day. I'm always inventing something. I'm always trying to push the needle forward and practice my skills. An invention doesn't always need to be something that you plan to bring to market. It's just something new and useful. For example, this little coffee cup that I 3D printed. You could say I invented that. I mean, I just 3D printed it. I'm always inventing and making new things. I'm always being asked to take a look at a product and improve it. My wife the other day asked me if she could invent something which was a clip to hold her Fitbit. And I went straight into CAD and I started modeling it. And before an hour, I had been 3D printing it and I gave it to her and she was trying it out. Found out it was a little too heavy, so I made some modifications, reprinted it again, and you could call that an invention. She's now using that every day to use her Fitbit in a whole new way. It sort of takes the Fitbit and you take off the wristbands and you can snap it to your lapel and walk with it. Now,
Okay. I was wondering what that was for. So she doesn't like things on her wrists.
Doesn't have to wear the wrist. Yeah.
Oh, I love that because I
So
hate
is that an
stuff on my wrists.
invention? Yeah. Is that an
Well, how would
invention?
you
I mean,
define invention? I think that's where we're at.
an invention is anything that is useful and purposeful and has a meaning and purpose to one person or millions of people. One of my favorite things I like doing is inventing and giving things away for free on a community, which is a collaborative community I belong to where there's thousands and thousands of 3D printer enthusiasts like me. And we all share our inventions with each other, our 3D CAD models.
Oh, cool.
And that allows someone to take this Fitbit design that I came up with and print it for themselves and use it. So I give the files away for anybody in the world to use for free. And boy, do I just love doing that. I one time modeled an ice cream scoop for my ice maker. And I just modeled it. It took me a few hours. I went and 3D printed it, and then I decided, I'm going to share this because I'm sure I'm not the only one who needs something like this. And I went and shared it. This is now maybe a 2 or 3 year old story, but thousands of people have downloaded and printed that ice cream scoop. I was contacted by a guy and gentleman from Australia who uses it every day for a whole different purpose. So isn't that neat?
That
How
is
you can make
so
something and launch
amazing.
it? Yeah, it's
And the
neat. It's fun.
capitalist in me says, well, why don't you monetize it? Why don't you create these ice cream scoops so Jill can order it on Amazon?
Well, it's an ice scoop, not an ice cream
Oh,
scoop. But
ice scoop.
yeah, that's fine. I have worked on an ice cream scoop,
You can
but
do both.
um, I'm really interested in teaching others how to make their own ideas. I'm interested in teaching others, especially kids and adults, how to take their own ideas and move them forward with these technologies. So in a way, I'm trying to make the next inventor. I'm inventing inventors. I'm hoping people can catch on to this kind of thing that I post, and it opens up their mind and their creativity. It certainly opened up yours. Look, I'm talking to you right now.
Absolutely. I
Mhm.
didn't know you could do that. I love that. You're kind of investing in the future of inventors and making the world a better place. I mean, I love your posts on LinkedIn. I'm just like, oh, I feel happier now for having read that.
Thank you. And,
There's
I've been enjoying that too. Being I've been having conversations with people like yourself and enjoying the fruits of being out there and talking about important topics, talking about topics that people are engaged with. I have a certain style of the way that I write and I compose and I share it all with people in hopes to find my tribe of those who are going to listen, who want to do the same things. And I seem to have, found an audience that sort of likes this. But I'm not alone. There's a lot of people out there like me. We all are inventing and 3D printing and designing. In my day job, I design mechanical systems. I work within CAD. I help companies retool their industries so they can make things locally again. So there's so many facets to what I do that I think it would be interesting to your fans. But yeah, what else can I tell you?
So I don't think I understand. Sorry, what is that called? When the 3D printing stuff. So help me. Not because I'm stupid. Well, maybe I am, but because I haven't really researched. I've never seen it done. I've seen your designs. Like I didn't know you could do that. What I remember is like 20 years ago, where it was just like this line of plastic that this little arm would go out. So how is it similar and different than say you're using CAD CAM in machining? Like you put in the program, I want to make a hollow cube, and then you put the material in, and it cuts out that cube, and you're like, woohoo!
That's called subtractive. That's called subtractive technology, and it
Oh,
wasn't called subtractive technology until someone coined the term additive technology. I spent the brunt of my career removing material. That's called subtractive, right? Where you start with a big block and you whittle it down to something small and thin. Additive manufacturing completely changes that. You start with nothing. And just as you described, it goes around layer by layer, adding little pieces of plastic and even metal and different types of materials until it builds something out of thin air. It's a whole new way to think because you're adding material. You have a lot of other things you have to worry about. When you're removing metal, you have to worry about how how fast the spindle may be turning, the sharpness of the tool, the material that's coming out can't get in its own way. It needs to be blown out, chips and so forth. So all that engineering has been figured out over the last 30, 40 years. Additive manufacturing is relatively new, a new term and sort of a new technology, and it comes with its own set of realistic problems. But it allows you to make anything. In fact, it allows you to make things that you could never make in the old-fashioned methodologies. There's a company I know here in Connecticut that is an experimental shop that does a lot with additive machining, additive metal manufacturing, what they call metal additive manufacturing. And they have companies coming to them with parts that they can't get made in like 6 months because of lead time, because of manufacturing, even because of supply chain. And this company is able to print that part, 3D print that part fully in metal, exactly the same material, everything in a day. So you're talking about going from 6 months to a day, and that's very transformative.
wow, that's amazing. So why are they so capable of making it get out to market faster? What's the key difference between additive and subtractive in that scenario?
Well, they offer different challenges. I mean, subtractive manufacturing is still an old methodology that takes time.
It just takes longer.
3D printing takes time as well. However, that's starting to change. At my company, I was working at Stratasys. We developed technology that can print 10,000 parts in 10 hours. So instead of waiting
Oh,
10
wow.
hours for one part, yes, a company that's using this kind of technology is Sennheiser, the headphone company.
Uh-huh.
They actually now 3D print and print all of the parts for their headphones. So you don't even know it. It's happening.
Oh my
And they
goodness.
no longer are doing injection molding and other tooling and methodologies. So it allows them to move very quickly. It allows them to really to bring a new experience to the consumer that they've never had for, which is options like size options, even custom options. I mean, if you're going to 3D print something, there's no reason it couldn't be customized for your liking, for your
A
need, for
lot
your
less
color, your
expensive.
size. It can also be less expensive, so the prices are starting to come down. I sometimes say to people, when you go to the store and you buy a product, maybe it's a part for a dishwasher or an some part, it could be, you're not paying for the cost of that product to be made. That's been paid out long, long, long ago. You're paying for the storage of that part to be stored on the
Inventory.
shelf, inventory, yes. And the longer that part
Mm.
stays in inventory, the more expensive it becomes, the more rare it becomes, and then it's not there anymore, and then you have no other option to make it. I know a company that actually was contacted. They're an aircraft company, and they have an old aircraft that the toilet seat broke. You cannot buy this part anywhere. They don't even make the vehicle anymore. So what did they do? They 3D printed a toilet seat.
Brilliant.
So, you couldn't necessarily always think of it as fast, but sometimes it's just the
Mm.
right technology to use because you're stuck and you have no other way to do it.
Oh, because it's more creative, maybe, where it's not as. I guess explain to me. Do you have a 3D printer in your home?
I do have one. I have one in my basement. It's my son's. He's only used it a few times.
Oh,
I've
really?
taken it over. It's a Chinese printer that cost only about $350.
Oh,
But
really?
yeah, they're not that expensive. You can buy a 3D printer at Home Depot. Everybody's got 3D
I
printers
didn't know
now.
that. Is that why you make
Yeah.
those cool things that you share online on that
That's
little
what I
printer?
do. Like, sure,
Really?
this little phone holder I made that holds my phone, that was done. This little handle was done on that. This coffee cup was done. I
Oh
mean,
my word.
even very interesting things like this was done. This is a heat exchanger off a rocket that I was designing.
Oh wow.
So,
I had no idea. I thought you were at your workplace and had these like $1 million machines that you were creating these on
well, I have
panels.
access to all that stuff. Trust
Wow.
me. I mean, I don't have the affordance to walk in my own basement and have $1 million equipment. But I have access to a 3D printer. You can get them, and what I really try to tell people is, if you're going to get a 3D printer, get interested in design. What I think
Mm,
you're really probably interested in is, how does one make those shapes? You can buy a printer and you can print other people's PDF files, and that's kind of fun. But can you write your own story? That's a little bit more fun, isn't it? So the real fun of owning a 3D printer is, if you have it, you can design anything. If you get good at the design tool, you can invent things. You can make shapes. You can share shapes. I told you I wasn't alone in 3D printing. When we give away our designs for something, we always give away the original files so
mm.
other person can make it and make it better. So we call that remixing. So someone comes along and says, "Ooh, I could make that a little bit better." So you can do that and re-upload it and give it to someone else, and they can print it. So let me explain to you how a 3D printer works, in case you
Okay.
just don't understand. Yes, I'll even tell you how it became invented.
I would love
About
that.
35 years ago, Scott Crump, a guy that started a company named Stratasys, his daughter came home with some sort of a school project. She was a young girl, and the school project was to fashion anything they could find around the house out of make a frog and to paint it. So he didn't have anything around, so he got a hot glue gun, and he and his daughter used a hot glue gun to make a first layer of what would be a frog, and then he had her blow on it to cool off the glue, and then he did another layer. And I'm sure if I handed you a hot glue gun and told you, Jill, to make me a frog, and you could do it. You would go layer by layer and you blow off, cool it, and that's what happened. She painted it that night, and that was when he realized, so this long ago, oh, we could actually completely revolutionize prototyping. And so he filed a patent, brought this product to market 3.5 years later. And that became 3D printing was not what he called it. He called it fused deposition modeling, but it became a groundbreaker. It allowed people to make and prototype parts in days instead of taking weeks or even months in other methodologies. And of course, we call that now 3D printing. But a lot of it got started that way. And you can think about a 3D printer as nothing more than a glorified hot glue gun mounted on a
Okay.
machine that moves back and forth and then blows off the cold. So it's using something called a
That makes sense.
thermoplastic.
Uh-huh.
A thermoplastic is a plastic that melts, but then when it's cooled, it solidifies again. And you can keep doing this over and over and over again. So what it's doing, it's just controlling and extruding this plastic, and it glues to itself as it does, and it goes around and around and around until it's done. And it's quite fascinating to watch when you have invented something and you see it printing out of thin air, and then you can try it a few minutes later. Like when I designed this phone holder, I wanted to make sure that it fit my phone,
Oh wow.
which it does. But then I realized that there's a problem with this, where I hadn't actually thought of the fact that I have the back of my phone has a little credit card
Ah, the
holder.
credit card holder.
The credit card holder. So you see, that's a little problem I can fix in CAD. But again, me printing it and being able to have it and try it is the game changer. I don't
Well,
have
and
to. in my mind, I can actually
And you're not
physically
wasting all this
produce it.
time like trying to speculate how is this going to work. Because I'm going to spend $1,000 in material, for example, and then you make it. It's like that was a huge waste. You can just quick prototype. I love that.
This
I like
costs
that.
maybe 20 cents in plastic.
You're
Very, very
kidding. I
inexpensive.
spent $15 on one just the other day on Amazon. Oh my goodness.
Or how about this invention? Have you ever had a party before?
I just had one on Sunday. What is
Okay, and
it?
what does that say? Is that reverse sign
Sign
your
your
cup?
cup.
So you take your cup and
Yes.
you use, well, this is a highlighter, but you use a real marker and you write your name on it, and it's just a way to store. And I designed this, and
That's
I
great.
gave it away. And this is actually made out of a material that's biodegradable. This is dishwasher safe, FDA approved, and when I want to, if I ever need to get rid of it, I can feel good to know that I can throw this away in my compost bin, and this will just disintegrate into the earth
Oh, that.
as a natural. This is actually made of a non-oil. This is not made of oil. It's
Oh,
not made of
really?
a fossil-based plastic. It's made of sugar cane and other starches and natural byproducts. So that's
I
another
didn't know that
thing you
was a
could do
thing
with 3D
either.
printing.
That's
Yeah,
really
if
because I
you're a
was thinking,
tree
oh, more
hugger and you
plastic stuff, more
more
waste.
plastic stuff,
And that'll mean less plastic cups that aren't biodegradable. Because with my party, I had a whole bunch of plastic cups and people forgot who was who. So they just kept using them and using them.
that's
See?
right.
See?
That's
Michael
right.
Bourque. So really the invention of the 3D printer, I think if we have to go back, we could thank a teacher for that assignment. And then that awesome guy and his daughter with the frog.
That's true. That's true.
Go
Very,
thank a
very true.
teacher.
And sometimes I find that a lot of inventions are accidents that are
Mm,
mistakes or just discoveries that a clever person doesn't. Yeah, he couldn't sleep. I actually know this guy really well now. We're friends, and so I got to meet him and know him really well. And he shared with me how exciting it was, and also how nervous and exhilarating it was all at once. But he founded a company, did it with his wife, and he did the real thing. He actually brought this product to market. He had a huge company that was created, is still out there doing good things in the world, Stratasys. And yeah, I'm enjoying the benefits of his invention, of course.
excellent. So when you mentioned it, sometimes it comes from mistakes. I just immediately thought of ivory soap. I don't know if that's a true story. They accidentally left it in too long and it floats. I'm like, well,
The
this
one
is
that
actually pretty
floats.
cool. Yeah.
Do you
Do you have
do
any
you
other
think that
examples?
do you think they purposely made it float, or it was an
Well, I
accident?
heard that it was an accident. Am I
Yeah,
wrong? Okay, yeah, yeah,
I
that's
think
what I
I've
was
heard
saying.
that too.
It was a mistake. It was a failure, but it actually turned out to be a great invention.
Well, I can tell you another story about invention, which everyone will know, but may surprise you. And it's about a very important topic I like to call. I didn't coin it this way, but it's called planned obsolescence. And the story goes like this: so DuPont invented this new material called nylon, and they really didn't have a purpose for it. It's one of those inventions where, oh, we have this material, what are we going to do with it? And one of the very first things someone did is they figured out they could weave it into a nylon. That's what we call nylon actually now, but it's actually a material. And the scientists, very smart, clever scientists at DuPont, would send their invention home, the nylons home, to give to their wives and their spouses to try. And they would get good feedback. They would take all this feedback, they'd improve the product, it made it better. And boy, wouldn't you know, all the wives were saying, "This is the greatest product, honey. I'm so glad you're working at DuPont." And then these poor scientists went to DuPont and realized something, or they were told something. They were making a product that lasted too long.
Oh, no one would buy more. Oh, damn. I'm scared.
So they had to make the nylons inferior. They had to make them.
No!
They had to sort of play with the recipe, make it run, so to speak, after only a few months, and that's the story of nylon.
Oh,
We still are running into cases where products are being innovative products even are coming along, but they're not able to last, and so I'm really worried about that. I'm worried about us creating the consumer that doesn't mind wasting products and throwing them away. I think we need to have consumers that challenge, hey, what am I going to do with this when I'm done with it?
yeah, and
You
reusing it
know,
in some
and
way.
reusing it.
For
Solar
those
panels, for example.
oh,
You can buy a solar panel. You might think you're saving a lot of energy, but try to throw that solar panel away in 10 years and you're going to have a major problem on your hands. So, we need to look at, what it costs to make things, what it costs to use things, and what it costs to ultimately get rid of stuff. And I think
Yes.
getting rid of stuff in the future is going to be a huge problem for the world.
Yes, like your biodegradable cup holder. Yeah, not
So
just making the rich people richer.
that's why I like that biodegradable cup holder also, because it's food grade, it's FDA approved. I could actually make products with it. And if I don't want it anymore, I can grind it up
Right.
and reprint it. hmm So
Oh, that's what we need. Right,
that's
that.
what we need. It's
More of
called
that.
circular economy or
Mm,
cradle to cradle, so
I like that. So I have to go back just one quick for those younger viewers out there. Nylons to describe back when I was younger, they're like pantyhose, kind of like tights, but they're thinner, so you don't have to shave your legs or go get a tan or whatever. And they would like I'd pay tons of money for a pair of these nylons, and then that same day, huge run in them. We put nail polish on to stop the run. I spent so much money, and I am so upset because I didn't realize that was by design.
by
By
design.
design.
You must know the light bulb story. It happened with the light bulb first. Do you know that story?
How it was invented.
No, everybody knows how the light was invented.
No, tell me more.
Okay. Well, one day someone found a way to make a light bulb that would last
Oh
forever.
no, no.
There's a light bulb in Chicago in a fire station that's been lit for over 100 years. And what happened was the light bulb companies of the day, back in the turn of the century, realized something. Wait a minute, this is not good for our business. So they started what was called, it was illegal, it was a light bulb cartel. You can read about it, but they forced all light bulb manufacturers to only support 2,000 hours
Oh my
of
goodness.
lifetime, something like that. 2,000, I think it's 2,000 hours. And they did this, and they forced all companies, including General Electric, a bunch of European companies, they're all part of it, to make the light bulbs last longer. Think about that. It's good business when a light bulb burns out. But now we're living in a place where we have LED lights.
Hmm.
LED lights last for a long time, but I've replaced a couple of LED lights that told me they were going to last for a long time, and they didn't. So, I think when I grew up, I used to read this magazine, Consumer Reports. Maybe it's
Oh, I
still
love that.
around.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And there used to be a TV show, which was like a Consumer Reports TV show. I used to like to watch them because I learned to be a smart consumer. I learned to think
Hmm.
about what I'm buying, how it's going to last, and what its impact to the environment may be.
Oh,
So I
that's
think the designers should be thinking about that all the time. Where is your product
yes.
going to go? Why does it have a purpose? What can it do after its job? And use materials science for your advantage.
That's intriguing. So I'm thinking if I was going to create a company and create products, I would want something that didn't last too long so I could keep making money, but I want it to have a reuse, or like you said, you could grind it down. Then it's win-win. Win.
That's
Win for the
right.
consumer, win for me as a business owner, win for the earth, for crying out loud.
I do believe the future consumers that aren't born yet will not tolerate products that do not have an positive impact for the world.
Mhm.
So I think that's the way everything is going to move. Yeah. I was at the store the other day and I bought a bottle of Windex. If I have it here. And right on the bottle, it says this bottle is made with reclaimed ocean plastic.
Hmm.
There's a company out there that's collecting ocean plastic because the ocean's full of plastic, and
Mhm.
they reclaim it, and then they turned it into bottles. And so that's what Windex is doing. It's
Well,
called
that's
it's
good to
called
hear.
Plastic Bank is the name of the company that's doing it.
Your memory is amazing. So I have to ask a question. It just occurred to me. Is there anything an idea or something you've seen on sci-fi for an invention you think should not be invented off the top of
I've
your
never
head?
been asked that question before. An invention that is not invented that should never be invented.
Yes, yes.
That's hard because then I'd have to imagine a new invention that is never. Does it have to exist or doesn't exist?
It could exist
It's
in fantasy or like on a TV
hmm.
show, but not in reality. Or I guess we could rephrase it. Maybe something that was invented that never should have been. Mhm.
That's a
I'm
good
thinking of,
question.
let me give you an example. On Star Trek, that teleportation, I don't think that should ever be invented. I just think it's about the journey, people. Boom, I want to go to the Eiffel Tower. I'm at the Eiffel Tower. Oh, cool. Now I'm going to go back to Germany.
Yeah, it may make the process of getting there less meaningful if you can flip a switch. But look at us right now. We're talking.
That's
This was
true.
not possible a long time ago.
It's a different way
Someone,
of teleportation.
if you showed my grandfather what we're doing, he'd call it teleportation of some sort.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, you know, I tend to think about that everything that is put out there as an idea eventually becomes something real. Some people have used the example of Star Trek. There was someone's job to write a screenplay and to invent products, and they just came up with them. And that kind of freedom to create is what we're living with today. I mean, you're now seeing the fruits of the iPhone, the smartphone. That's just practically like it was out of
Right. With those
out of Star
communicators.
Trek. Absolutely, the communicator. And so I believe if you put it out there, it'll eventually get done. But I also think there are some inventions that should not have gotten done. One of the worst inventions ever was actually the inventor has invented something, and he is right now the biggest He's dead now, but he's the biggest polluter in the world. He invented leaded gas and CFCs, which is used
Ooh.
to cool down our homes. I can't pronounce it, but CFCs.
Mhm.
And it was not a good invention. It got rid of engine knocking, but it also polluted the world
Mm.
very, very badly. It put a hole through our ozone layer with the CFCs. So some things aren't researched enough. We don't understand their impact to the world. So I'm seeing a lot of that has to happen. But I also think we shouldn't get to the point where we're afraid to invent anything, but we should have a watchdog or something that's looking over some of these bad inventions.
I
I'll
love
tell you
that.
another
Like,
bad invention. I
what?
was at the store the other day, and I was getting some ice cream, and there's a bank of ice cream refrigerators. And there's a glass that you can see the product right behind there. Someone has invented an LCD screen that covers the glass that shows me a commercial
Oh, no.
of what could be behind the glass.
No.
So
What
I
could
opened the
be?
door. Yeah, I opened the door. There's nothing behind it. And then
What?
I look over three more aisles, and there's a Windows blue screen of death on those third ones. It
Oh,
crashed, so you can't even see through. I mean, why do we need to replace the window?
because
And
they don't
also
have enough inventory because
when
of
I open
supply chain.
when I open the store, I can feel the heat coming off it. So it's also
Oh,
heating
how
up
stupid.
whatever's inside the refrigerator. I don't know. It just bothered me. I feel like
What a
maybe the
waste.
company should have spent more money lowering the cost of their products and finding another way to pimp an
There's
advertisement
probably
on
the
it.
owner's like son-in-law owns the
This is a
company.
big
Come on,
company.
Dad, just do it.
This is a big company, but
Oh, okay, maybe not
there
that.
everything shouldn't always be marketing. I think we should be making great
Yes.
products that people want. And
Yes.
there's a lot of products now being created that are sold specifically to the consumer. Like there's this cleaning product where they send you these cleaning kits every month, and
Mhm.
they're curated soaps that are healthy for your family. They do something good with the money they plant a tree whenever you buy it or
Oh,
something like that.
or the
People have
sheep
these kinds of
things.
experiences. So I wonder if that's the new way. If maybe big box stores are on their way out, and everything else will be more of just a la carte services.
I wonder, going kind of full circle now that we have this technology and innovation to order things from small Etsy dealers and people like Michael Bourque. Let's hope so,
I
because I
hope
get
so.
jealous. I
I
hope so,
think
but I
there's
have
a
yeah.
I think the future of the hardware store is going to be this. You'll go online, you'll say you want something, you'll click a few buttons, and you'll drive to the hardware store, and they will make it for you with this technology. That
Right,
to me
just
is
right
coming
there on demand.
right there
Boom,
on demand.
hammer.
That's right.
I gotta dude, I think it's about to end. I gotta run to Home Depot and get a 3D printer.
Well,
I'm so
you
excited.
one of the reasons I wrote you was because you saw my Alexa holder.
Yes.
Remember, maybe you can post this in at some point, a picture,
Mm.
but I had this Alexa and I have this cord problem, and I just again went to the computer, 3D printed it. I installed it. It worked. I made a few changes, but it worked. And then I posted a picture online and says, "Hey, can anybody guess what this is?" And you saw that, and then once you realized what it was, you said you needed it. So I'd like to mail you one,
Oh my goodness. I should be
or
giving
send you
you
one.
something. I would love that,
You
and
already have. You already have.
the forum to talk to the world about your awesome ideas. So I have to tell the people how great this is, this thing Michael invented. Maybe I'm just an idiot, but my dot thing lives on the floor because the cord won't reach to one of my tables. The problem with it is it gets tipped over, the dogs step on it, and if I throw my pillows off, it covered it, so I didn't hear my alarm this morning. It's all sorts of problems. And just this little hanger, it's right against the wall, right? And you just
Hmm.
insert the thing, and that's brilliant.
Hmm.
I need one for my cell phone too. Okay, anywho, you're like, Jill, the list is getting too long. And a tractor beam. It's my
A,
Christmas
trac-
list for
a
Michael.
tractor beam.
A tractor beam. That's the invention we need.
What is a tractor beam?
Like on Star Trek, back to Star Trek, like on Star Trek, where there's one object and they want to pull it in a certain direction. I'm thinking magnets. It's probably gonna have to be something like magnets, rather
Hmm.
than like, wow, we have a boat, we have to tow it, you have to drag things over, or I'm short, and if I need something from a high shelf, tractor beam in my hands. That's all I
That
need.
sounds interesting. Let's go work on that.
Okay, okay, I have some ideas. Sounds good. All right. Anything else you'd like to add for our viewers, Michael?
No, well, thank you for having me on your show. I know that you talk about a lot of things. I mean, I'm very passionate about how products get made, especially with agile methodologies. I'm a software developer as well as a
Mm,
hardware guy, so I kind of apply agile to everything I do. It's just a practical way that one or two or three people should work. And so, whenever I do work, if it seems amazing, it's not really. It's just going in small steps. It's just doing a little bit, rewarding yourself, doing a little bit, rewarding yourself, and you see that. And I'd like others to experience what
mm,
it's like to move their ideas along a little bit at a time.
mhm,
Reach out to people like me. I'd love to talk to people and show people anything from what it takes to take an idea that's out of your head and into your own hands.
mm.
I think that's it's when you and I were growing up, we had to go ask our parents or go to the library or ask our folks what anything meant. Today you have
That's
YouTube, you have
true.
Google, you have this podcast, you have everything. So maybe people are getting a little too inundated with stuff. There's too
Mm.
many things to
Where to
listen to.
go?
So
Mhm.
where to go? So to break the fog down. But
Yeah.
I appreciate you inviting me to your show and to talk about this, and I look forward to engaging more with more people.
Excellent. Yeah, reach out. Thank you. Love the stories. Appreciate it. And have a lovely afternoon. And let's keep in
I
touch.
will. Very
All
good,
right.
Jill. Thank
Take
you very
care.
much. Bye bye.
Bye.